the EOP. I tried to update it. There's a couple areas I'm gonna have to print the pages out. There's more. More.
Just to kick off, there's no celebrity MC tonight. It's just me, and so we'll get started. And I mentioned to a couple folks who were on earlier that we're just going to spend the time tonight with Major Coletti and Corporal Loban. There are no other special presentations or anything tonight. So we do have the crime maps for December and statistics. And so we can run through these, and Major Coletti can bring us up to speed. I forget which council member had asked for us to discuss crime trends this month, but Major Coletti will be able to do that. And so, not to hold us up any longer, I'll turn things over to Major Coletti, and Sharon is the person behind the curtain making the maps and stats pop up for us.
Hey, good evening. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. So Sharon, if you want to start off with page number 2 of the crime report, you can just go down to page number 2. And while Sharon's doing that, I just like to, I'm not going to talk about every category. I'll leave some time open towards the end of the presentation for anyone to ask any questions. And what we're going to do is, this is the overall crime for the city for the month of December. And I'll ask Sharon to go to slide number 3, please. So during the month of December, we've had 3 robberies that were reported. And I'm just going to briefly talk about them real quickly. The first one we had was a citizen robbery, which occurred in the 4800 block of Berwyn House Road, in which the victim had his bike taken from him at gunpoint. As of today, we have no further information. We have not recovered his bike. So that case is still open. But what I want to bring out to everybody's attention is everybody has the ability to register their bike through the Prince George's County Police Department. I encourage everyone to do so. So if you get pass that information out, please, if you buy a bike and it's worth some money, please register your bike with the police department. Second, we had a carjacking in the 9700 block of Audubonville Drive. At this time, this case is still open. The suspect approached the victim with a handgun and demanded their vehicle. And the third and final robbery we had for the month of December was a commercial robbery in which the dash-in, 2 suspects went into the dash-in located in the 10,000 block of Baltimore Avenue. They went behind a counter and they started stealing boxes of cigarettes. The suspects ended up fleeing in a dark gray Ford Escape. Our aviation unit, which runs out of College Park over at the airport off of Campus Drive, they were able to locate the vehicle. And in doing so, they followed the vehicle into the District of Columbia, at which time the suspects bailed out of the vehicle after we tried to stop it over in Southeast. And we were able to make 2 apprehensions on the suspects that committed the robbery. One suspect had a address over in Capitol Heights. The other suspect had no fixed address. So out of the 3 robberies, we were able to close 1 of the 3, and we're still working on the citizen robbery and the carjacking. So at this time, I'll ask Sharon to go to page number 4, which is the assault. I have really no information to talk about it. So if we could go to page number 5, which is the, yep, there you go. Very good. I'm not going to talk about each burglary that we had in the city. So we had 8 reported burglaries or breaking and enterings in the city. One of them was reported to a shed. What's unique is that seven out of the 8 crimes, 7 locations, the victims left their property unsecured, meaning they left a window open, they left their front door unlocked. So seven out of 8 breaking and enterings that we had in December, 7 of them, citizens left their, or the victims left their residence unsecured. I just want to briefly talk about one of them. We had one that occurred in the 7,000 block of Wake Forest Drive. University of Maryland officers were looking at their surveillance cameras. They observed a suspect go through an open window, or I'm sorry, through an open door to the rear of the residence. They saw him walking around their residence, called the police or had marked units go out to the house, and were able to determine that the suspect was still inside the house. The suspect did try to come outside the house, but he was placed under arrest. So that was an interesting case. The surveillance cameras that the University of Maryland watched, they actually did something, and something good out of it came out of it. I'm just trying to look.
A quick,
So just to get
Major
back,
Claudia, quick question on that. Do you know if that arrested suspect was responsible for any other break-ins?
no, he's only responsible for that break-in that we know of. Just so everybody knows that the suspect was a Hispanic male and he lived in Silver Spring. He did have priors. He had priors for 4th-degree burglary, trespassing, and theft. So at this time, we only have him down for just that one crime. You have to understand, a lot of times we just cannot put somebody, we may believe that they might be responsible for other burglaries, but we just don't have the evidence to put them into those crimes. All right, so well, let me just talk about it real briefly. I'm sure somebody will ask. So as of today, and we started tracking citations for loud exhaust back on April 19th. So as of today, we've written 204 citations. We've written 55 warnings and 70 safety equipment repair orders to violators of the loud exhaust infractions. So as a department, I'll just briefly talk about this. As a department for Prince George's County, our violent crime last year was up 21.2%. Our property crime was only up 2.5%, which gave us an overall increase of 5.5% in just crime itself. And Sharon, if you don't mind, could you go to page 12, which is just the 2021 crime stats for the city? Thanks. So I just want to have everybody take a look at it. This is the crime for the city throughout all last year. One of the biggest increases, as you can see, is in the month of December, we had 27 theft from autos. I can tell you that Division 1 was hit hard on one night. We had approximately 70 vehicles broken into, in which they stole airbags. Most of them were Hondas. So that's a large increase. But I think if you look at the overall crime, we did pretty well last year. We kept out a lot of the violent crime out of the city, which is always a big plus. So anyway, Sharon, if you just want to go ahead and get out of it, and we can open it up for discussions. If anybody has any questions they would like to for me to answer. Any questions about crime itself?
So Major Coletti, I did have a question. I saw a lot of uh, reports of catalytic converters being stolen. Probably more so, I noticed it in December, and I don't know if that was also associated with some of the crime increase that you mentioned around cars too.
Yeah, so Cadillac converters and airbags, we've been having a hard problem with that probably for the last 6 months to a year. There's a lot of money to be made in Cadillac converters based on the metal that's in there. I will say this, we just made an arrest 2 weeks ago on a subject that we know has been doing a lot of them over at Westchester Park off of Kenworth Avenue. So we did make an arrest. Patrol officers did a real good job. Citizens called, saw them out there. They were able to get there while they were still there. So that was good. But yes, that is a problem. It's not just a problem in this county, it's nationwide. So it's something that we're always dealing with. We do make a lot of arrests, people that are responsible for more than one. But the problem is there's so many people doing it. As soon as we make one arrest, somebody else pops up. We have a different crew doing it. So we do make arrests for it. So the last one we made, I can say was like 2 weeks ago.
Is there anything that people can do to safeguard against that? That seems kind of, it's very specific, and people know exactly what they're looking for, but I'm not sure that there's, I'm sorry, my alarm on my house. My husband just left the house, nothing to be concerned about. I thought about who I was talking to. I wonder if there's anything that folks can do to safeguard.
You know, we've been talking about it, actually talking about maybe having people engrave their SoundX number on their Cadillac converter itself. That's kind of hard to do because it's underneath your vehicle. I think the biggest thing we can ask people to do is when they see something suspicious, to call the police. These guys have to go underneath your vehicle to do it. There's usually a lookout. So whenever you see somebody suspicious, you see a car running in a parking lot, by all means, any suspicious activity, I want people to call us. That's the best way for us to try to tackle this problem.
And there's sometimes debate about whether to call 911 or the non-emergency number. If it's suspicious, we should call 911, correct?
Yes, by all means, just dial 911. I think Councilman Kabar has a question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you for the report. I probably, this is a Sharon Fletcher question. I checked city's website, collegeparkmd.gov/public safety. This report hasn't been posted yet, right? Do you know when this will be?
These maps and statistics were sent to our communications manager just today. So
okay, maybe tomorrow.
They should be on our website in the next day or so.
Fantastic. Major Coletti,
I can resend them at the end of this meeting. I'll resend them to all of the council members, so you have your own copy and you can share with your constituents.
Thank you. Major Coletti, in your report, you mentioned, you rather suggested everyone who has a bike, they should register with the county. Do you know what is the procedure? I know Umara Metro actually sent something to their website asking us to go to their website and register there, but it looks like county also has a site where residents can register their bikes. Is that correct?
Yep. And if I'm mistaken, and Corporal Lobby might be able to jump in this, I believe you can go to any district police station to actually register your bike.
That is true, Mage, but I believe District 1 was out of the stickers last time we had checked, so we were referring people to go to Beltsville to maybe get some stickers. I'm not really sure where we can go to procure more stickers. If it was in our property warehouse, I'm not sure.
Now, just if you don't mind, just remind me, I have to call records and records would have to send the stickers over because they all have numbers on it. So so they may even have to make them. So, but I'll call over there and get them.
Just an idea, and if it's too hard, don't worry. Maybe Bob, Mr. Ryan, is it possible to partner with the bike shops like Proteus and have an event for registration? Police can come in with the stickers, and we can advertise in the community, and they could bring their bikes, because taking the bikes to Hyattsville police station, which is pretty far, it might not be a very attractive idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I like it, but you don't have to take the bike to the police station.
Oh,
You
really?
just got to have the information with you. We'll give you a sticker. We'll tell you where to put it, and it's your responsibility to put it on the bike.
Okay, so it can be done over the phone or the website?
Now, you have to go in person and fill out the form.
Oh, you have to go in person and drive there,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, still, okay. Bob, you wanna say something? You're muted. Bob, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll get with Major Coletti and maybe we could host something at City Hall.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think bikers would
we'll
love it
see if that's
because
possible or not.
these bikes are pretty expensive. Some of them cost over $500 and they really like to save them. So they'll love it. Yeah.
No, it's a great idea. We'll do it. We'll do it when it warms up. I think
Okay,
that's the best
thank
way to
you.
do it.
Thank you.
If nobody else has any other questions, I want to turn it over to Corporal Lobbin, who's going to give out some crime prevention tips regarding a couple crimes. Any other questions? No? Okay,
I do have a question.
sure.
I do have a question, and it has to do with fireworks and all the fireworks that we heard over the holidays, both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Now, I expected them on New Year's Eve, but didn't expect them Christmas Eve. Lots of chatter and things of that nature. I had a conversation with Mr. Ryan about just the challenges associated with that, and just wondered if there was any information about what happens during those times and anything that we can do to help mitigate. I don't know that there's much that can be done here. One of the ideas that I shared with Bob is, maybe we can try to coordinate with surrounding municipalities to do fireworks in one space where it's controlled, as opposed to having these individual pop-ups of fireworks that are concerning, because for some people like myself, at one point, I didn't know if I were hearing fireworks or if I were hearing guns. So, and maybe that's because I'm not a law enforcement officer, but when it goes off for a period of time, it's pretty scary. And I think for Christmas Eve, they were going off from about 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning. At least that's how long I heard them.
So, fireworks is an issue. It's always going to be an issue. Christmas Eve, Christmas and New Year's Eve. I can't tell you how many numbers of calls we get about fireworks in the county. I had the stats because I had a complaint about it. The number is unbelievable. The amount of calls we get for fireworks. As everybody know, it's a misdemeanor. We actually have to see somebody actually lighting the firework, because what's going to happen is as we pull up, we're not going to be able to say who was in possession of the fireworks. So it is an issue, something that we do respond to. But as anything else, once we get overwhelmed with the number of calls, we're not going to get everywhere. And something else to bring up, where College Park sits, the Hispanic population is really big in the surrounding areas. This fireworks is really something that the Hispanic community has always used during Christmas time or during the holidays. So it's a lot of things that we got to do about education, making sure everybody's aware that it is illegal, but I can just tell you, just to be honest with you, we're just overwhelmed a number of calls that we get for fireworks.
Major,
And you
Major,
also got to remember, we got to deal with all the serious crime in between. So
Major Clardy, you hit two basic points, and I'm so happy that you did the exact thing that community and many of us have been thinking. Councilmember Mitchell, who couldn't be here tonight, she reached out to Tacoma Park, City of Tacoma Park Mayor, and as you said, this is a kind of there's a cultural aspect to it. Hispanic community and our residents who came from Central America, they actually come with them, that bring them this tradition. It's part of their tradition. So we, on one hand, we need to respect that. On the other hand, it is also a public safety issue because fireworks is dangerous. So Tacoma Park, they have been thinking a lot. How can they stop it? But unfortunately, based on what I heard from Councilor Mitchell and the conversation with the mayor, they don't have any. They need help, or rather, they need ideas how to stop it. They have reached out on the education aspect, as you said. Unfortunately, as you have seen this year, the number of fireworks and the duration actually was much worse compared to last year's. Things are getting worse actually. So it is, I mean, I think there needs to be some collaboration between the communities and the police departments, and to see what it can do. There needs to be some more work need to be done. I mean, the way it's been working, if you don't do anything, again, the next Christmas Eve, things will get even worse, and people will be doing the same thing, unfortunately. So it is up to you, and if from the city government, if College Park and our 4 cities and the neighboring towns, if you need any help in terms of resources or any ideas, we can support you. We'll be very happy to do it, but we look forward to your leadership to see what you want us to do. It is not a one town issue. It's a regional issue. It's not even one county issue. It's Montgomery County and Prince George County. Both of them are involved. And Bob probably lives in Montgomery, and Bob probably heard more fireworks than we have.
Sure, I do. I don't have a solution. I have the same problem. So as most of you know, I live in Tacoma Park, and I did not even bother calling the police this year. I could hear fireworks pretty much from 9 o'clock till after midnight, as was mentioned. I have in the past called Tacoma Park Police, and there was really nothing they could do to stop it at the time. Yeah. And in fact, a lot of the fireworks were coming from outside of city limits, Tacoma Park, in the Langley Park area, which both Montgomery and Prince George's areas. And I mean, my experience with fireworks that we sponsored in the city, these displays are professional grade displays. They're not legal, they're not licensed, there's no permits issued, but I could see fireworks above the trees from probably a half mile away from my house, and I'm sure residents of College Park Woods and maybe even North College Park could hear those fireworks coming from the Langley Park area. Yeah. And I think there is a cultural aspect. I think this has increased, and I'm not sure. Again, these are not legal events, so hosting a location to allow people to shoot off illegal fireworks, I'm not sure we could get support for that.
So I want to be clear, what I was suggesting was not that. It was more about hosting an event where it was more controlled amongst the municipalities that may be in the area.
Yeah, similar to what we do on 4th of July.
4th of July, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We
You
appreciate
know,
if you could.
it's a new phenomena to me. I mean, you know, so much for Silent Night, right?
Mhm.
I really love the idea of having an official celebration. I think it could be a way of bringing you know, the Latinx community into this, like, well, a very welcoming gesture that you know, could perhaps solve the problem. It at least is something worth considering. But obviously that's a budget issue, right? When you're talking about the expense of a fireworks display. But I don't know if that's the kind of thing that if it's a common problem across municipalities, maybe it's something that could be worked on together. I don't know. But if it were really more of like a festival, really, in a sense, like a celebration, maybe that would draw people out and really concentrate it, you know. Just it's an interesting idea to think about.
Yeah, I have a comment about the fireworks. I was just like Bob. I could hear them. I could read next door, everybody's complaining about them. They don't know whether the fireworks or their gunshots, and people had their debates about that. I'd like to see more effort from not only College Park, but the surrounding communities to work with the communities to educate them. I don't see that happening. You know, they don't know that there's a lot of other things that are illegal. There's a person on my street has put some stuff out for trash collection last week. It's still sitting there. It happens to be a sofa and whatever. I don't know if they know that they're supposed to coordinate to get something picked up. You know, I don't see the education being done to get these people knowing what's going on. You know, and maybe it's not welcoming or whatever, or we tend to do it downtown. Well, personally, I avoid going to anything downtown College Park. I don't like to have the whole parking situation. I don't care what you say, it's not the best when it comes to that. You know, we have to come up with some better ways of getting the communications out to these people to make them understand not only the fact that it's illegal, but why is it illegal? What are the safety concerns? You know, the fact that, you know, whoever's setting them off could actually burn themselves or start a fire or hurt somebody else. Yeah, I don't see that education being done. You know, we have a lot of different houses. I know on my street we have a lot. I don't know if anybody really, you know, pays attention to it, you know, any education, because I don't think there is any. You know, I heard my council people from College Park talking about Tacoma Park. I'd like to see College Park do some education too and some effort on it. Don't just, you know, it's important to have Tacoma Park and University Park and all these other places. But hey, this is College Park. What is College Park doing to put some education out? That's my 2 cents about the fireworks.
All right, so if there's no other questions, and I
I
think.
actually
Shirley
have
may-
one question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Rashida. I'm actually a board member on our civic association here in Yarrow. I saw this meeting and thought maybe this might be a place to ask a question about a community concern going on in our neighborhood. So we've had a neighbor who moved in maybe about 6 months ago. And within the last 2 months, we've seen an increase in traffic on our street from visitors pulling up to the home, getting out of the car and leaving within about a 5-minute span. We've spoken to the folks who are living there about the issue, about the increased traffic. And when I say increase in traffic, I mean an increase of like 10 cars sometimes at a time lined up on our residential street. We've called code enforcement, we've called the police, but we haven't seen a change in behavior. And we were just wondering, like, what other things can we do to really engage this neighbor, deter this behavior? We actually also wondered, like, is an increase in traffic on a residential street? I saw it in the College Park Code. Just wondering, is this something that we can do anything about? Or is it something that is kind of a lost cause? We can only just call the police if we see an issue happening. We tried to resolve it as best as we could without involving the police, but the behavior hasn't changed. Just wanted to get some thoughts and ideas.
So without giving out too much information online in a public forum, what street are you talking about?
We're on Baylor Avenue.
All right, just so you know that we have received information and we'll be looking into it. If you'd like to talk to me offline, I'd be more than willing to talk to you, but we've been made aware of the issue and we're going to look into it.
Okay. I don't know how to reach you offline, but I'd be happy to do that.
Sure. If you can, if you have Bob Ryan's email, he can forward that information to me.
Okay, thank you.
Sure,
Yes.
you're welcome.
Okay.
And code enforcement has been investigating that same address.
Okay, thank you.
And just so I just let everybody know, this is for everybody. Whenever you complain about an address, don't think that we're going to stop everything we're doing and go run to that address. It doesn't work that way. It takes us weeks or not months to investigate some of these complaints. We just don't have the manpower to look at every complaint we get. I can tell you right now, I probably get at least 1 to 2 complaints every day. So we're limited with manpower. We're limited to how quickly we can respond. Of course, we take the urgent matters first, but we do look at all the complaints. And I'm just being honest, I'm not going to just blow smoke up to everybody. It does take us weeks to months to get to every complaint. So I just want to make sure that if somebody complains, we're not out there the next day looking at the address. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I share that. I just feel like the members on the Civic Association have just been kind of bombarded with calls, texts, and we're just trying to figure out, like, is there something that we can do as a community before engaging the police? You know, like, how can we try to solve this? And if our efforts don't work, then maybe out to police or code enforcement. So thank you for sharing that. Just
No, you're
looking
welcome.
for suggestions.
And I appreciate your email that you sent to the city. I appreciate anybody who has a complaint. But just so everybody understands, it's not just you, everybody that's on the Zoom meeting, is that we deal with probable cause for criminal matters. So we have to establish probable cause before we can do anything. A lot of times people see people going in and out of their houses. Unless we have some type of probable cause that deals with criminal violations, you know, sometimes we know something's going on, but a lot of times we just can't do nothing at that moment because we don't have the probable cause to either get an arrest warrant, to get a search warrant, or any of those avenues when it comes down to criminal investigations. So, but I do appreciate the information you supplied, and we'll go ahead and look into it, and hopefully we can somehow resolve the issue. So I don't want to take up too much more time unless anybody has any other questions. I want to turn it over to the good corporal and have him talk about some of the crime prevention tips that we can share with everyone.
All right, good afternoon, well, good evening. I'm Corporal Oden. I'm the Northern College Park, and we break College Park into 2 regions. We have a northern and a southern. The northern part, which is my district, runs from Greenbelt Road up to the IKEA. And then the southern part is from Greenbelt Road down to East-West Highway, and that would be Corporal Nunez. And because College Park is such a big area, we feel it's more efficient to break it into two sectors. So there's a northern and a southern. Corporal Nunez has the southern part. So I know in the county, we've been having a lot of issues with theft from autos and also with vehicles being taken now that it's getting cold. And I know we had discussed it as being cold and people leaving their vehicles. So remember, it's illegal in the county. You would receive a citation if an officer came out because you left your keys in your vehicle and someone was going to steal your vehicle. So remember, it only takes these guys just seconds to steal your vehicle. And then once they steal your vehicle, a lot of times people don't realize you leave your keys in it. They have your keys to your home. So now you're going to have to probably rekey your home, as well as if you left your keys to your business. And then they're going to take your vehicle, and then these guys go out here and create all type of mischief and mayhem with your vehicle. So this is why we implore you guys to please, please, please do not leave your vehicles running. You can get a remote start. So what a remote start is, most new cars, or you can get an aftermarket. What your aftermarket is, you can go to Best Buy and you can get a module inserted in your vehicle. When you turn your vehicle on through the module, it'll start your vehicle. But if an individual was going to try to steal it, so if they were to break the window and push the brake, because you have to put the car to change gear to drive the vehicle, if you did not have the key inside the vehicle or you didn't stick the key in ignition, the car would automatically cut off. If you had a remote starter on your vehicle, if you just leave your key in your vehicle and the individual opens the door, they would get in the vehicle and then they drive off. So that's one of the biggest issues we've been having inside the county. I'm going to post it later on Nextdoor. It only takes seconds. Don't leave your car running unattended. So that's the biggest issue we can talk about. Also, we have the theft from autos. I know I had spoken with the Wave Task Force, and they were talking about they had made an apprehension in Beltsville a couple of months ago where an individual had, like, I think 45 airbags. I'm not really sure why they steal the airbags and then just sell them. I would think that you would probably want a brand new airbag, but I guess it must be a ring of individuals that are involved in buying these stolen aftermarket airbags and then putting them, I guess, repurposing them, putting them back in vehicles that they were already taken out of. So if you guys hear of anything through your travels, definitely let me know. And I know Ms. Rashida, she was talking about an issue inside her community. She could always reach out to me. My number is 443-415-4481. I'll be more than willing to take these complaints, and then we usually investigate it, like Major Coletti was saying. So we will go out, talk to the residents, try to figure out what's actually going on, if they're doing something that they have no business, or if it's an actual legitimate business that they're running. But even if it was, we would still, talk to the residents, because the whole policy with the cops' philosophy is we want to make our community stronger. It's not to destroy our community. So we usually go out and we have a common sense approach when we're trying to talk to individuals. And we had an issue a couple of weeks ago up in the Edgewood area where an individual was towing vehicles. They were parking them in front of their home, and then she was sending the vehicles out to a salvage yard. And she says, well, only thing I'm doing is taking these vehicles and then selling them at a salvage yard. And I was like, yeah, but you're making money off of it. She was like, well, yeah, but it's not a big deal because I'm only parking the vehicles. And then we, talk to residents and explain to them, hey, you can't park your vehicles on a residential street. After a healthy conversation with her, she understood that, there was a proper way to do it. And so she was able to then secure a tow lot where she could pick the vehicles up from a tow lot, park them at her tow lot, and then transport the vehicles to the salvage yard for scrapping. And then she could, get paid, and it wouldn't affect the community. So, and that's my idea and objective, is to make these prosperity communities where we can all live together, work out our issues, and live together as great citizens. Are there any questions that anyone is having? Yes.
Yes, Corporal Loban, a few years ago, Prince George's County Police distributed steering wheel locks.
Mhm.
Is that program still active?
Yes, we have a few the car locks in the vehicle, and it's a funny story. Last week I was working overtime and I pulled a young lady over. She had a Dodge minivan, and I said, "This is your vehicle?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I have something for you," and I gave her a car lock, the club, and she was like, "Why'd you give me this?" I said, "Man, we've been having a real issue with the Dodge minivans being stolen," and she said, "You know what? I never really thought of it, officer, but I'll use this club on her vehicle because certain vehicles had a real high theft rate because they were really easy to steal. And then it takes a while for the manufacturer to kind of get involved and then get the reports, and then they change some of the defaults. I think it was like those 98 to maybe those 2006s, the Dodge Caravans, they had a really easy locking mechanism. All you had to do is break the mechanism and then you were able to start the vehicle and drive off. So if anyone has any type of Hondas, I think the early model Hondas, those had really easy locking mechanisms. We do have a few clubs at our station that we'd be more than willing to give out to anyone. I mean, I know most people have newer vehicles, but even if you have a newer vehicle and you would like a club, just reach out to us and we'll be able to provide some clubs to the members.
Thank you for sharing that. Is the, could residents just show up to the police department anytime to be able to pick up a club, or are there certain operating hours to be able to pick one up?
It's best that you guys give us a call. Because we're a mobile unit, cops, we don't really work out of the station. So it would probably be easier for you to just call us and we deliver them to you, versus driving to the station, because the way the department is, we're not like the fire department where we're primarily dispatched out of the station. My primary dispatcher is in my cruiser. So if you called me, I could be sitting around the corner from your house and bring you the club versus you driving all the way down to the station. And most of the officers keep these supplies in their trunks. Or you say, "Hey, I need a club." I'll say, "All right, give me a half an hour. I'll run to the station, pick it up, and then bring it to you." So it would be easy just to bring it to you.
Thank you, Corporal.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely will take you up on that.
I mean, you could drive to the station. I'm not sure because of the clerks, if there's any on hand, and then he may tell you he doesn't have any because they would usually be upstairs in the cop's office. So if you drove there, it would kind of be like, "Oh, I kind of got the runaround." But if you came to us firsthand, we would be able to take care of you and service your needs.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
Hey, if you don't mind, just put your email address in the chat box, and she could, if she doesn't mind, send you an email and you can make arrangements for her to pick one up. And just so everybody knows, we have a limited supply of the devices. And once they're gone, they're gone. There's no, we don't restock them. We got the devices from a grant. But I will tell you this, a lot of criminals, all they'll do is they'll cut your steering wheel and take it right off. So they were good back in the day, but they've realized a way to take them off the steering wheels.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any guns and they want gun locks, we do have some gun locks. I know we have put in through a grant through NRA a couple of years ago, and they did provide the station with a few gun locks. So if anyone is interested in any gun locks, let us know.
Officer Loban, I have a question, if I may. Speaking of the vehicle safety, I believe last month or month before, there has been an uptick on the wheel stealing the wheels and from the cars, especially the Honda and Toyota import cars. And thankfully, I don't think I have seen that kind of a discussion in the social media lately. Do you know if police has been able to apprehend anyone stop this, or do you have any good news to share?
That's a really good question. I know I had spoke with Detective Flax. He was in the WAVE, and that stands for Washington Area Vehicle Enforcement Unit or something. And I know he said that they had made a couple of apprehensions and recovered a bunch of rims and stuff from different individuals. But just because, and let's knock on wood that we don't have any upticks and any spikes, but we had made some apprehension. The only problem is, like Major Coletti said, that we'll apprehend a group and then a new group will flourish, and then it'll take them a while before they're apprehended, and then when they're apprehended, they'll start up. But it's really no way to really track your rims, because I don't think they come with serial numbers, and most of the serial numbers that come with the rims, only probably the manufacturer would have it, and you don't probably have it. So that's the problem of trying to get the rims and return them back to the owner, because I do know that as a department, we do a really good job of investigating and recovering items. The problem is returning a lot of these items, because most people, when it is, i.e. your bikes, your computers, your cell phone, don't have the serial numbers to these items. So when they're stolen, we do recover them after a time, but the problem is we're unable to reestablish these items with their original owner, because, like, say I take your phone, and by the time someone finds it 3 months later, the guy scratched it all up, and you see your phone, you're like, well, my phone didn't look like that. It wasn't brown and screen all scratched out, but it is your phone. But the thing is, you don't know the serial number, and we're unable to return it. Now, I know a couple of years ago, the department had a program called Smart Water, and it's not the water that you get at 7-Eleven. It was chemical water that had like a DNA, and you would take a spot of it and you dab it on the item, and then if an officer had some special light that they gave us, they were able to connect that item, saying that it had this DNA swab on it. Then we were supposed to take that item, mail it to the company, and then they were supposed to send you a letter saying, hey, they recovered it, and match that DNA back to your profile. I think you had to pay a subscriber fee, but I'm not really sure if it's still a program, and I'm not really sure if it was even well tested to see if that was something that would really work. But I think it was a really good 21st century idea of trying to recover items and being able to reestablish the owners with them.
Yeah, I think if you could get that information about the latest status from PGPD, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
I agree. It's a wonderful idea. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem, Fazul. Are there any other questions from the gallery? Yes, Mr. Ryan?
Sure, I have one. There's been some ongoing conversation about what else can be done about the loud modified muffler vehicles. And one suggestion was that, the city could send a letter to the owners. But I think it would be more effective. I mean, police can't issue a correction order unless they witness the violation. So they would have to see the vehicle in motion with modified muffler making noise. But if any residents are aware of where a neighbor, it ends up being one of our neighbors who has such a vehicle, and if they're leaving for work every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and opening up the muffler going up the hill, then if a resident can provide the information about location and what time this person is leaving, I believe we could probably alert police, and maybe they could make a traffic stop.
Absolutely, Bob. I mean, if an individual has a neighbor that has one of these hot rods, even if it's not done in our presence, a neighbor can let us know. We can go to his door and we can tactfully talk to them and say, hey, listen, you guys got to remember, we all got to get along. It's still a residential community. And when you come out at 5 in the morning, blaring your modified muffler, and most of these young kids know that the mufflers are louder than they should be, then we would explain to them like, hey man, if we have to keep coming out here, we're gonna have to issue a repair order. Most kids know that once we issue a repair order, all of that stuff that thousands and thousands of dollars that they've spent in those modifications are gonna have to come off that vehicle, because you have to turn that vehicle back to the way that it was prescribed to you from the dealership, which is you're not allowed to have any of it. And most of the kids know that we would have to take all of these items. They would have to take all of these items. They would have to go to Annapolis and then do a state inspection. And they know the vehicles would fail. So we could talk to them. Even sometimes when I'm at the 7-Elevens, if I see a car come in and, you know, I explain to them, hey, look, man, you know, that car looks really cool and it's really nice, but, you know, hey, can you just ease off the gas as you're driving through the community? Because, you know, I don't want to have to issue a repair order. We have gotten a lot of complaints. Most kids were like really receptive and say, you're right, officer. I'll ease off the gas, and I'll tell my friends as they're kind of coming and going to not try to give it so much gas and have the popping noise. But I did speak to a guy at one of the muffler places, and he said it was not really a muffler issue. It's an engine and tuning issue. And he said that the place that he thinks that was doing it is somewhere in Beltsville, or it's a place in Clinton that the kids are going to get the engines tuned. He said it's not a muffler issue, because that's why you hear it when he hits the gas, the car does a boom, pop, 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 pop. He said that's a tuning issue, because they've overtuned the engine. That's why it's making that high RPM noise. It's not mostly a muffler issue. Some of it is a muffler issue, but it's mostly a tuning issue. So, I mean, so, you know, we try to work with the residents in the community as much as possible, but I do know it is an ongoing issue with the loud mufflers, and, you know, the young kids are into these loud mufflers.
The problem is the fine is so small. It's only $30 or $40. I mean, it doesn't really hurt them, and
well, it's not
pay
the
the
fine,
fine and
it's the
move on.
repair. It's not the fine, it's the repair order, because the repair order is going to make them take everything off the car. It's not the fine at all. And that's what the kids more fear of, the repair order, because like I said, in the state of Maryland, when you buy a vehicle, you are not allowed to modify it in the United States. Whatever way your vehicle is, that's the way it is. Just like you can't have rims on your vehicle, you can't have tint, you can't have any of these things that most people are putting on their vehicles. And most people know if they are given a repair order, they're going to make you rip all of that stuff out. And these guys know that they're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to now have it all removed. And then they're going to have to go through an inspection station, and then they know they're not going to put it back on. So this is what they mostly fear, is the repair order. It's not so much the citation.
Yeah. Major Clardy, in your report, you mentioned there are a number of repair orders police has issued. Is it College Park specific, and in which time period the police actually issued these citations?
So the citation that I spoke of, I started tracking them April 19th of last year.
Okay.
So as of today, we've written 204 citations, 55 warnings, and 70 safety equipment repair orders.
Is it only in College Park?
That's only in College Park. That's just in the city limits. That's just what the contract officers are doing. Just the contract officers in the city of College Park.
It's April of 2019.
April 19th was when we started tracking them.
Okay.
So those 70 repair orders that were written by those officers, they're going to have to take those vehicles, make an appointment with a MSP inspector, and they're going to make them take all of that vehicle stuff off their vehicle. That means they're not going to be able to have any rims on when they go. They're not going to be able to have the colorful headlights, all of those dazzling lights around their vehicle. Most of these kids know that this is going to be an expensive ordeal to change that vehicle from whatever modification they've had back to the original stock status of the vehicle when they bought it. And they know that's going to be an expensive process. You can't have any of the mufflers, any of the color, the bumpers, the flared bumpers. They know that this is going to be an expensive ordeal for Zoll. So it's not the citations that hurt, it's the ERO that really hurts.
Okay.
Yeah, because
so
these
we'll-
kids did not put that stuff on there themselves. They went to a shop to put it on. So now you have to go back to that shop and have all of that stuff taken off. Then you have to have the original stuff put back on that vehicle. So if he changed the exhaust system out, he has to have the new exhaust system taken out, the old exhaust system replaced. You're talking about a couple $1,000 because he paid $1,000 to get that new exhaust system. So now he has to have it taken out as well as put the old system back in. So we're
Corporal
talking about, yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you, so I'm not familiar with the repair orders and how that works. So if they receive a repair order and don't do what they're supposed to, what happens?
All right, so after you issue the repair order, after 90 days, Maryland will issue a pickup order for their tags, which is saying we want our tags back. And now you're gonna have to re-register that car all over, because if an officer sees it, it's like a warrant on the tags. And Maryland's gonna say, give me my tags, since you don't want to comply with it. And they're not gonna have tags. So once the officer confiscates their tags, they're gonna turn them back into MVA. They're now gonna have to go to an inspection spot and do all of the inspection format to get that vehicle re-registered, which is another costly expense, because if you had a bunch of issues on the car, you're gonna have to go through it. So it's like your car, the way it looks now, and once they modify it, and we've seen how they modified it, it's gonna have to look back to the stock way when they initially purchased that car. Again, it's still gonna be an expensive process, because if they threw all the old stuff out, now they gotta go buy all brand new tires, rim, exhaust, whatever they did to the engine. He's gonna have to unmodify that to get it to pass the state requirement, and that's super duper expensive. That's
Thank
where all
you.
the hidden costs comes, and that's what really hurts these kids. It's not the fine, it's that repair order, because like I said, once Maryland, after 90 days, they're gonna issue an injunction saying they want their tags. So once an officer sees you, he takes your tags, he's gonna tow the car, he's gonna put it in the impound lot. So they're gonna have to pay to get the car out of the impound lot. You're gonna have to then buy all the parts to get it re-modified. Then you have to go get it inspected again to get new tags put on. So we're talking about another costly expense.
Going back to your initial comments, Corporal Logan, where you talked about crime prevention things related to the cars. And of course, I find that the biggest complaint people say when they've had their car broken into is, oh, I forgot to lock it. You know, I'm seeing that quite a lot. Can you just kind of summarize a couple of tips that maybe people aren't aware of for not car issues, but for their home issues, what they should be doing, you know, looking out for when it comes for crime prevention?
All right, well, that's a great question, Carol. So as a member of Prince George's County, we do offer a free home security survey, which is you can call any officer out, we'll come out and we'll give you a common sense prognosis of your residence of how we can call it target hardening, which is sometimes, i.e., maybe we'll tell you to change the locks on your doors. Hey, maybe some of the doors in your basement that you don't really use, maybe you should put a pin in them and bolt the doors, maybe replace some doors. We're not going to tell you to do anything extravagant like build a moat around your house and get fire-breathing dragons. That's not what the idea of it is. But we're going to just come up with target hardening. And I know we have a lot of break-ins in College Park, but when it comes to downtown, the problem is a lot of the kids do not lock the doors. If we were right now to get on a bus, drive down to any place, let's just take the Varsity, and we could go from any floor in there and we could walk from room to room and the kids wouldn't lock the door. And you'd say, why? And they'd say, well, you know, we were told College Park's a safe place. This is why we don't want to lock the doors. Or my roommates are here and I can't keep up with the key. So because they're not going to lock the door, it kind of makes it kind of tough for us to keep those numbers down, because a lot of the kids refuse to lock doors. They have these large parties and we've talked to them. And then the next morning they wake up after they've been having a party and things are now missing from the apartment because they had too many people inside their, you know, their residence. So those are some of the misleading information about, even for residents that live in College Park. We always implore you, please, please, please try to lock your doors. Remove any items that can be seen from the vehicle. So if you have an old coat, you may think it's nothing, but everything is, I guess, motivation on whatever he's looking for. He may think that that dusty coat that you had from the 50s is no good, but he may think that it's hot, and he may decide to break in your vehicle and take that coat, because I don't know what his reason is. This is why we employ people. We've even went through the hotels, and we've had them now, when residents, people checking at a Holiday Inn, they'll ask you for your tag number. So that way, if a vehicle were broken in the middle of the night, they were able to go upstairs and say, hey, John, we found your vehicle now and it's been broken into. They'll usually tell them, hey, look, make sure you lock your stuff up before you park your vehicle in the parking lots at night. So, we try to make sure that residents do it. And you guys do a really good job of spreading the news. Some residents say that they forget, but also we're not really sure if an individual has some type of device that may be modifying it, that he's able to unlock a lot of the doors. Because I know when we do a lot of follow-ups, a lot of residents are like, I swear I locked my car doors. Or a lot of people are like, hey, my car was broken in 2 or 3 times and I refuse to lock the door because I don't want my window broken. But that's really, it's kind of like going fishing. Most people are going to go fishing in their favorite spot where they know that they can find an easy fish to catch, versus trying to go somewhere and fish where they know that there's possibility it's going to be a limited amount of fish. So if you keep leaving your doors unlocked, then more than likely we're going to keep having these issues where individuals keep breaking in cars. But then on the upside with College Park, we do have a great dynamics, because a lot of the issues we have, we don't see the same issues in College Park that we would see in Orlando, or we don't see in an Oxon, because most people here are really motivated about issues that we have. If we call and we say, hey, look, we have some issues where guys are stealing cars and dumping them. We have neighborhoods where cars have been sitting there for 3-4 months and no one calls. In College Park, normally a vehicle will sit 24 hours before, a citizen will call it in and say, hey, there's something not right here. I just seen this car pull up and boom. Or, and like I said, even as an officer for 18 years, some of my best arrests have come out of College Park, where citizens doing their due diligence will call and say, hey, look, you said it was somebody doing something. Hey, I seen a guy climb through a window. We've had neighborhoods where people are like, I don't want to get involved with here. They will say, hey, look, I'm watching the guy. Matter of fact, look at it on FaceTime, officer, as they're calling it in. So you guys really do a wonderful job of supporting us. And, it's our pleasure to support you guys back in the same manner. Are there any other questions?
Okay, if there are no other questions, I know it's a little bit earlier than sometimes we end when we have a special presentation, but we thought it'd be good from time to time just to reserve the whole hour plus for police, kind of like the coffee club format. Give police and residents more time to interact. So we'll be doing that from time to time. We'll also bring back some special presentations through the year. Okay. And so we'll be here every second Tuesday of the month. Yeah. And any suggestions, if anyone would like to see a
second Monday.
It's the Monday.
Oh, what did I say? What did I say?
Tuesday.
Did I say Tuesday? Oh, no, that would interfere with a more important meeting.
And like Mr. Ryan said, we have a coffee club that meets every second and fourth Tuesday of every month from 9 to 10. So I know some of you guys do attend.
Aren't those on Wednesday?
Which day did I say?
Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. Oh, It's getting late. Yes, it's every second and fourth Wednesday from 9 to 10. It's a really healthy forum. I would encourage you guys to come out and hear different things. We have a lot of great speakers from around the county. Some of our politicians poke their heads in and out. It's a really great forum. So, yeah.
And we'll be doing this community Zoom on the second Monday at 7:30. And our hope is that we will reach more people by having a combination of evening meetings and morning meetings. And so, if anyone would like a special presentation at either of those formats, let Corporal Loban or me know. If you can think of anyone. We've had emergency management talk about preparing your family for emergencies. We've had State Fire Marshal's office talk about fire prevention in your home. And so any broad public safety topic is fair game for us to bring in a subject matter experts. And we'll always have time for Major Coletti, Corporal Loban to review, crime trends and stats and crime prevention. So if, unless there is more discussion anyone would like to have, and we did share email both for Corporal Loban, Major Coletti, and myself. And we've actually been having some email chats as we speak. So thank you everyone for coming, and please spread the word. We would certainly like to have 30 or 40 people at these events. And the Zoom event is easier for folks to do, we thought. You could do from your easy chair. And so we hope to grow this event through this year. So thank you very much, and good night, and see some of you soon, see some of you next month. Thank
All
you.
right, see you guys.
Thank you.
Everyone.